Hello, my name's Mr. Creek and I am one of the coordinators along with Ms. Thomas at Latimer for the Duke of Edinburgh Award at bronze stage. I thought it might be useful to give parents some additional information because at the moment I think there's a breakdown in communication between us, the students and parents, and so I've just put together this quick video to run you through the award and what we're expecting, and then some sort of tips that might help you help your child pass the award. So the first thing to go through is what's involved. So there's 3 sections to complete. There's volunteering, skill and physical. These need to be done, 2 of these need to be done for 3 months at a time, and that's 1 hour per week consecutively, and 1 of those needs to be done for 6 months, 1 hour per week consecutively. Following that, there's then the expedition. So I've sent out all the dates previously, but it's always good to have a reminder. The practice expedition is planned for the 25th of April, and the assessed expedition is planned for the 8th and 9th of May. We completely organise that, train the students, get their equipment, and run that side of things. So the students really are in charge of ensuring that they complete these 3 sections here. The completion date for the whole award is the 15th of October 2021, which obviously your child will be in year 10. Now, there's been a couple of questions that I think will be useful to go through, because obviously at the moment things are very different. Students aren't actually in school as I record this this video, and so the Duke of Edinburgh has actually been really flexible, and they've allowed lots of different activities to take place, and they've also allowed activities to change halfway through should the situation change and lockdown be ceased. So you've got your 3 sections here, and of those 3 sections there is a really good website with activity ideas, and hopefully the students have already used these. I posted these right at the beginning onto the classroom that we communicate with the students, and if you click in then there's lots of ideas that they've put together for things that can be done obviously when times are a bit more restricted. And as I say, this can actually change halfway through, and I'll talk a little bit about how to make that change in a minute. So each area has been manipulated to allow the students to do things that they wouldn't normally do. And obviously it's a really unfortunate situation, and we hope that they'd be able to do a little bit more sooner rather than later, but for the time being it's important that we try and continue with the award as much as possible. In terms of getting assessors reports, there's another really good website which again I posted to the students, which is about who can be an assessor and how to get assessed. Now just to explain what an assessor's report is, at the end of each of these sections a report will need to be written by whoever the student chose as their assessor. In terms of choosing their assessor, it can't be a family member. Okay? And some students are still sort of missing this bit of information, but they have been very flexible. It can be a family friend, it can be me, but unfortunately we have 175 students taking part currently, so Ms. Thomas and I aren't able to, but a lot of teachers from the school have volunteered and are helping the students. And what the student needs to do is, as they're going through, so for example, if for the skill section they decided to cook every Saturday and they want to learn a new dish, it's important they set a goal. So for example, learn a new dish once a week, or perfect a dish every 2 weeks, or set a realistic goal. And then what they can do is they can record that by simply taking a picture of them cooking or taking a picture of the dish. They can then have that in, let's say, a Google Doc, where every week they have it date stamped, so they type in the date and then they have a picture as they go through. The same with if they are, for example, trying to do the Couch to 5K. Every time they do a run, if that run can be recorded on an app such as Strava, then they can screenshot that. They can put that into a doc, or they can just keep the list of screenshots in a folder or something like that on their phones or their tablets or their computers. And then they can show that to their assessor at the end. They've got a track of their progress, and they can show that they did it once a week. In terms of how to upload assessor reports, there's always a bit of sort of mystery around this, but it's actually been made really, really easy. So I'm going to take you through it. One of the easiest ways is to simply type in to Google Assessors Reports Duke of Edinburgh, and that will take you to this page, dofe.org/assessor. I've just put in a participant's ID number at random. Every participant has their own ID number, which they can get by logging in. This is the assessor filling this out, so the assessor picks the level, which is bronze, and then the section which they're assessing. So let's say we're assessing skills. This will then take you through to what the person has set up, and then the assessor simply needs to put in the progress that they made, what did they achieve. This doesn't have to be hugely long, just a couple of sentences. How often they took part in the activity. So ideally this would be 1 hour per week for the set amount of time. Any other comments, but that's obviously not required. Their name, their title, and then their email, and then they can submit that, and that will automatically go into the system. Things that are important are the frequency of the activity, otherwise it can't be approved, and the start date and the end date must be 3 months apart, which you can see these are. Okay, sometimes the students put in the dates wrong, and that just needs editing. Again, if it's not 3 months or 6 months, then it won't count. So that's one way it can be done. In terms of uploading evidence, editing their Duke of Edinburgh, any plans, they can actually be uploading evidence already. There is also an app. We often find the students, the app is actually better designed. The online system is quite old, and students are much more used to sort of simpler, smoother computer systems to be designed now. And the system is a legacy system, but the app is actually a really good way of being able to log in and set out everything that you need. So then again, I think there's been some confusion between us communicating with the students and students communicating with the parents. So what we're asking and why. So we're asking for 2 sections to be completed with assessor reports uploaded for the 25th of April. Okay, that's the aim. Students can backdate if they've been doing activities all the way back to October. Okay, so October 2020, it can be backdated to. And remember, they can also they can break it up. So if they were able to, for example, play tennis in the tennis club for a certain period of time, they could have that section uploaded, and then if lockdown started, they can then change that over to, I don't know, going running or whatever it needs to be, to allow them to carry on with the award. Experience has taught us that students who don't get to that point, the 2 sections completed by coming up towards the expedition, often don't complete the award. The reality is the pass out rates on bronze historically have been about 40%. And the reason for that is that students are leaving things to the last minute, they're not keeping track of the activities that they're doing, and then they're in the midst of GCSE years where the demands on their time are much higher. Perhaps they've stopped doing some of the activities, they've forgotten what they even uploaded to Duke of Edinburgh, and they've already done the expedition. And if we're honest, and obviously it's a really motivating factor, and we love taking them on the expeditions, the students love going with 175, which is almost an entire year group, on the expeditions, in which case they essentially forget about the part and don't do anything about it, and that tends to be right up until Silver Duke of Edinburgh. They start to take on the next cohort for the next award up, and then suddenly the students come in, and this creates a huge admin burden on all the teachers involved, and so we're desperately trying to avoid that and to help the students pass the award. So this is why we're asking for 2 sections to be complete, and considering this year especially there is a huge amount of flexibility, we think that's a realistic thing to ask. The last thing I'd say is that students are in charge of their own award. We don't find their activities for them, we don't upload the things for them. We do a certain amount of chasing to begin with, but that has to reduce naturally as the year group progresses. So it's important that they take charge and they understand the award. Now, in terms of understanding, I've created videos and we put everything on this classroom for the students to be able to understand. Now, I appreciate they have lots of classrooms, they have lots of homework, they have lots of things to do. But if they can check in with this, I only ever put posts up here. For example, here's the activities list and finding an assessors, the flexibility that's involved in that. You can see I posted that back on the 6th of Jan when this was released by Duke of Edinburgh. If I only ever post on here when there's important information that the students need to look at, and if they can keep an eye on this and do whatever it is that we need them to do at that time, then they will breeze through and have an amazing time in the expedition, which we're desperately trying to organise for them now, and obviously doing quite a lot of second guessing around that at the second. So I hope that's helped. I hope that explains why we're asking for the 2 sections to be complete. Just in terms of those 2 sections, they could be one 3-month and half of a 6-month, if that's fine. It's just that we'd need to see some evidence of that uploaded, but that doesn't necessarily need to be an assessor's report, and you can just use the app or log in to upload that evidence. Thank you for listening.